You're
Good to see you again, Ms.
enterprises.
Linda.
Put it in perspective. Good to see you. Put it in perspective for us. How have your businesses been hit compared to the global financial crisis, the Asian financial crisis?
I think, as Linda, I've said a long time ago, and I've still been the boring person that tells the same story. I've never been a fan of short-term thinking. We've always pursued assets that have long-term sustainable revenues. As you can see from the three previous crises, in 1997, we only had $100 million US worth of EBITDA. And then came the 2008 crisis. We had $1 billion worth of EBITDA. 300 million worth of EBITDA. Today, 2020, we have $1 billion US worth of EBITDA. So you can see that our EBITDA grows. So we believe that typical, like all crises will favor companies that are strong with their cash flows and strong EBITDAs that can continue to grow. And it's like a K-shaped economy. It's not going to be a V-shaped. So the K-shaped economy will favor companies that are very competitive and has strong cash flow balance sheets to grow, to acquire assets.
So are you taking this opportunity to make further acquisitions? We know that you acquired Niseko Village, Prime Lands in Kuala Lumpur during the previous crisis.
That's correct. So yes, good. And today you can see already semblance of what we try to do. We are never going to go out of our scope of our core competency. You see that we have acquired Lafarge, which is a great cement company, which is now consolidated into YTL Cement Group recently, last year. And then you have seen that we are also acquiring Tuas Spring in Singapore. This is a foreshadow of the things we want to do around what we are doing, consolidating and then expanding in our areas of competency, mainly regulated businesses.
Francis, as much as you look long term, in the shorter term, some of the businesses that you're in, for instance, hotel, retail, have been greatly impacted. Give us a sense of how these businesses are recovering.
Okay, so this constitutes about 10% of the YTL's EBITDA and growth. Yes, these are impacted, so we are not spared in that sense. But what we have done is to take this opportunity to consolidate on our 100 million customer base, digitalize them, and then monetize them to try to have more stickability as our customers, and then enable them to also shop online. So we are also enabling all our shopping malls globally to have omni-channels, just like what this Amazon has bought home-grown fruits, the good foods, what I call that, and also Alibaba's Tmall. So we have got a lot of physical assets, so we need to monetize all our 100 million customers. So we need to do the reverse, and that's what our team is doing now to make sure that we have reward points for all our 100 million customers, so they have more stickability as our customers, so we can still continue to grow another revenue base other than what we used to do in our brick and mortar businesses.
Francis, with the low interest rates, in some cases, real interest rates being negative, have you seen, of course, a blow up of asset bubbles, and I'm talking about property in particular, certainly something which has been bid up. Is this made your task that much more difficult, or do you see there's got more to go?
Well, I think, yes, every time there is quantitative easing, property prices are going to go up because people mitigate their inflation again with properties. So that's understandable. But in Malaysia, not yet. So we have opportunities to continue to grow in this area. Most of our land banks are acquired at zero or very low holding costs. So we have the power to retain quite a lot of these land banks. And for some peripheral land banks, we're beginning to sell them outside of the city and all that. And there are developers who want to develop properties outside of the main central core prime properties. So we are beginning to sell some properties, about 100, 200 million US worth of these properties, peripheral properties. So since we cannot sell these properties in terms of development, we can sell the land bank, which we acquired at extremely low prices.
Well, then, okay, that's Malaysia. What about elsewhere in this part of the world? Where are you looking?
Well, look in ASEAN. So in all our business, our geographic areas of competency and competitiveness will be in the ASEAN area, in Vietnam, Indonesia, Myanmar. These are very good places to start to look at businesses now. So it's now consolidating most of these areas, just like Malaysia is consolidating like a cement. In Malaysia, we took Lafarge. In other areas, the same. In ASEAN countries, they are going through the same process. So we will look for opportunities around these areas.
Well, absolutely, and you've already been talking about COVID and the pandemic and how it's probably you've taken a hit from that. But is there any other risks to your business if you look into your crystal ball?
No, in fact we have cash reserves of we have $3 billion US worth of cash reserves now, and every crisis after we acquire companies, the cash reserve grows from 100 million to 3 billion US a day. So these cash reserves position ourselves very strongly to do some M&A around our areas of our core competency. So we are quite excited about the prospects in the coming years.
Francis, the Singapore-Malaysia speed rail project got derailed. This was the idea 15 years ago. What are the chances that it is still viable?
Well, I think if you look around countries that have done domestic travels like Taiwan or France in fast train travel, it has proven to be an economic multiplier. So I think from that experience, to consider a train from Malaysia from Kuala Lumpur to Johor Bahru itself is actually quite viable in that sense. It will create a lot of economic activities along the corridor, just as much as what the North-South Highway did in the past. So this probably will be also a good thing to relook at it in depth. And probably with this government wanting to spend money on infrastructure, it's probably a good time to look at it because things are very competitive, the materials are not expensive, etc. Probably a good time to look into this type of project to build competitively in a very open bid manner. Invite the world to come and compete and take part in this very exciting project.